Remember how many times he made a difference between the Egyptians and the Jews? But let me tell you something, when it comes to Passover, when it came to Passover, the shed blood, God wouldn't exempt the Jew. He said, if you got blood in that doorpost, I'm going to pass over, and no blood, I'm going to smite. And he said that to his own people. You know what that shows me? That shows me there's no difference between Jew and Gentile. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Just because you're God's chosen people, that ain't going to get you anywhere. No liberation for that Jew anymore from that Gentile. He said, if I see the blood, I'll pass over you, and if I don't see the blood, I'm going to hit you. So they put it on. They're out there, and the daddy got that bucket of blood there, and he's putting that stuff around. About that time, a bunch of Egyptians come by. Blankety-blank Jews, putting a blankety-blank bullet with a blankety-blank wall, mount a blankety-blank mess. Bunch of fanatics. What do they think they're in the dark ages or something? I mean, the world's always looked at it that way, and they're never going to look at it any other way. And they go by there, you better quit killing them sheep around here, we'll mop up on you. And that Jewish daddy said, why don't you mop up the last time when a Jehovah hit you? He took all your cattle and all your sheep, you ain't got a piece of beefsteak left, boy, run on. They went on down the street. They did what God told them to do. They put that blood on the door. Have you applied the blood? Is your family safe? Is your family covered? Have you been to Jesus for the cleansing power? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Sounds old-fashioned, don't it? It is old-fashioned. There ain't nothing new about me. If I started, it's not because I'm new, it's because I'm old. If I started, it's not because I'm something fresh out of the 20th century. I'm something fresh out of about the 15th century or something back in there. This is an old story. Have you been to Jesus for the cleansing power? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you fully trusting in His grace this hour? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? And they went in the house that night. Let's take a look into Egyptian house, or a house of the Hebrews. Let's take a look in there about 10 o'clock at night. You look in this first house here, and you look in this first house here. Here's the family all sitting around waiting to travel. You know, the Lord said after midnight you'd have your loins girded, your shoes in your feet, and your staff in your hand, get ready to go. And the old man's pacing up down the floor like a caged tiger. And after a while, his wife, she was sitting and knitting, you know. And after a while, she says, will you sit down? And he says, I can't help it. I can't. I'm worried. He's pacing up down that thing, you know, go up down that floor, you know, and puffing on his Egyptian cigar. He says, I just don't know if it'll work. I don't think it'll work. I just can't. She says, well, God told you if you put the blood in the door, He'd pass over. Yeah, I know He said that. Well, you believe God, don't you? Oh, yeah, sure, I believe God, but I just don't know. I mean, do you have to be baptized? I mean, where did Cain get his wife? Or how did all the animals get in the ark? Or how do you know it's the original? I mean, maybe he didn't have the original manuscripts. I mean, his wife said, well, you quit acting so silly. Said, Moses said it would work. You never caught Moses lying about a thing like that yet. What makes you think he lied? Now, I don't know. I just don't think it's going to work. You look at another house there, and the family's all sitting around there real quiet and rested and relaxed, waiting to go out. And Daddy's over there reading the Daily Egyptian, and long about 11 o'clock at night, his boy says, Daddy, can I borrow the camel? I got a date down at the pyramid tonight. And the old man says, nope, not tonight. The boy says, but Daddy, not tonight. But Daddy, listen, son, God said if anybody went out the house before morning, they'd die. You're staying in. But that's it. And blessed is the boy who has an old man like that. Keep him from getting killed. And so they sat there, you know. Now, let me ask you something. What's the difference between the first house and the second house? There's any difference except one fellow believed what God said and the other one doesn't. They're both safe. If you put the blood in the door, you're safe. Now, you can worry yourself to death about it, or you can relax and believe it, but you're safe either way. You know, they long about 11 o'clock at night over there, some boy said to his mother, he said, same old stuff, we're never going to get out of here. Been down here for 400 years nearly. She said, I know, they killed your daddy, 16 years ago. We've had to live like this. He said, I know, I think Moses just faking. I don't see how he could be telling the truth. And he said, don't you worry, son. God said he'd be over at midnight. If He said he'd be over at midnight, He'll be over at midnight. And that boy said, it's 11:30 right now. Nothing's happened. She said, well, He said midnight, son. He said, oh, Ma, that Bible stuff. If He came over 5 minutes after midnight, you'd have to give up your religion. And she said, that's right, I would. But he said midnight, so it's going to be midnight, so just relax and wait. He said, oh, I'm going to sleep, ain't nothing going to happen. He went to bed. But along about 11:45, nothing happened. In about 10 minutes, come along about 10 minutes till midnight, nothing happened. About that time, a bunch of drunken Egyptians came down the street singing the Sweet Cleopatra, you know, or How Dry I Am, or something or other. And they came singing along there, you know, and look at those blankety blank Jews, you know, they got a blankety blank blood all over the place, you know. And 11:52 it hadn't happened. At 11:53 it hadn't happened. 11:54, 11:55, 11:56, nothing happened. That fellow, young fellow, been awake, he'd have thought his mother was, you know, putting her faith in nothing, you know, and told her she had the wrong translation or something. 11:58, nothing happened. 11:59, nothing happened. Look at verse 29, 29 and 30. It came to pass at midnight, the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat upon the throne, the firstborn of the captive in the dungeon, and there arose a great cry in all the land of Egypt, for there was not a house, for there was not one dead. A little bit later you find out the number that were killed, and there were 22,273 of those people killed. 22,273. They rose up there, and all the weeping and the wailing and the crying and the screaming, and mothers running into the nursery there and crying out to God for help, and no use. Pharaoh, boy, about 1-2 seconds before midnight, hears some bang at his door and goes to his door, and there's a figure standing out there about 13 feet tall, and it's got a radiation and an aroma coming from it, sickening, almost knock him off his feet. And Pharaoh says, who are you? And that big there thing standing in front of him with that drawn sword and a voice like a bunch of gears grinding says, I'm the servant of Jehovah. Stand aside. And Pharaoh says, no, stop, don't come. You can't come here. This is a palace. I'm Pharaoh. This palace cost $15 million. You can't come in here. Stand aside, bud. That thing knocks him aside and steps in there and begins to tromp through that place, headed for the nursery. And Pharaoh says, you can't do this. You can't do this. I'm Pharaoh, this place. And he says, I don't care what this place costs. If it costs $15 million, I ain't looking for dirt. I'm looking for blood. And when there ain't no blood, I get me some. And steps in the nursery. It's all that, baby. 22,000 dead babies in one night. That's Abaddon, the destroyer. He's called the death angel over there in the book of Revelation. Now he comes and does his job. When he does his job, he'll do it good. You want to see him someday? Let me ask you this. You want to spend eternity with him? Is that what you have in mind? When the Lord says you're going to die, you're going to die. When the Lord says you're a sinner, you are a sinner. When the Lord says your religion can't save you, your religion can't save you. When the Lord says, when I see the blood, I'll pass over you, then when he sees the blood, he's going to pass over you, and no blood, and he won't pass over.